So welcome to CSL Charlotte. We are the Mind, Body, Spirit Center. And today we're talking about today's Easter resurrection. So our topic being that we're talking about the present, not the history of the resurrection. So next on our platform is our speaker, Melissa Spiegler, the girl from Tennessee. And Melissa, make it do what it do.
Thank you, Reverend Rosedale. Resurrection and becoming, they're so connected. And I love this reading this morning is how we participate in our own becoming. There comes a moment in every life when something dies and something new comes to life. The resurrection doesn't arrive loudly. It comes as a whisper, a gentle pull, a quiet leaning forward. And before the mind understands it, something says in us, it's not a loud yes, but a calm one. A yes that begins in the body before the words ever form. Take that in. Life is not something we fully control, yet we are not separate from it. Science shows us that what we notice, what we focus on, and what we embody shapes the way we experience the world. So maybe it's not that everything is our choice, but that we are participating more than we realize. What if life is not happening to us, but responding to us, through us, and as us? It doesn't respond as a punishment, nor a reward, but as a response. What we carry within us has a way of meeting us in the world. It's not because we deserve it, it's because we are in relationship with it. The sacred yes is not about blame. It's not about control. It's about participation. It's the moment we realize we are not separate from our life. We are within it, influencing it, and being shaped by it in return. From that place, life begins to feel different, less random, and more relational. Each moment becomes an invitation. Each experience is a doorway, and each encounter is a mirror. And for you, the sacred yes is simply pronounced like this: I am here. I am present. I am participating in my own becoming. Let's say that together again. I am here. I am present. I am participating in my own becoming. The sacred yes is not about controlling life. It's about realizing that I am already a part of its unfolding. And here's a final quote by Reverend Rosedale. You may not choose every circumstance in life, but you're always participating in who you become within it. And so it is.
We'll start with a short centering, but relax your eyes by looking into your lap or closing them if you choose, just as long as those eyes are not distracted. And breathe in really deep and really long. And as you exhale, just stay with that song for a moment. Did you actually feel that? What if that's not just a song? What if it's actually an experience for us? See, Ricky sings, I'm changed, something new about me. She said, something changed about me. She said, it seems like it just happened overnight. And it also happened without a fight. So she was ready. That's what happens when we become. And then we find out that we are willing to release old stuff, let it die off, and feel the shift of something new coming in. That's part of a resurrection for today. Maybe you felt that before. A simple moment where you're feeling that you're in yourself. And then you just feel something just changed. Well, it's not because you forced it when you do it that way, but because something in you became quite clear. So wiggle your fingers in your eyes, move your fingers and your toes, and your mind, body, and spirit. And as you float your eyes open again, just think about today's Easter resurrection opposed to what you've always known and heard about it. So let's become aware. That's what it's all about today. Because see, here's what resolution looks like. For us today in this century, it's not just something we remember from the past anymore. It's something that we actually experience because of all the years of evolutions that we've gone through. We're starting to know I'm supposed to experience life, not be told how it's supposed to be. But did you know that every tradition in the world, every religious tradition or philosophy, they have a story about the resurrection? Scholars wrote about it, but I want to tell you a little bit about scholars as opposed to the general Bible and all the other scriptures that have been written. Scholars reconstruct from the first century, and they do it by analyzing all the manuscripts that were written and the archaeology and all the things. They do a lot of work to come up with the close to the truth. I believe their truth because I like studying them. So I like that. And so they have these different languages that they understand. They translate it for us and they tell us what meant, right? See, scholars, you'd be happy to know, they're not government censored. They wrote that Jesus was killed because the Pontius Pilate saw him as a threat. But our religion was absolutely, they used control of the system from the first century, especially in the Middle East where Jesus was. Now, I talked about Lao Tzu and the Buddha last week, but they didn't have such restrictions and they just didn't, they wanted people to think for themselves in those places. But Rome stopped any movement that could happen when it came to teaching people to think for themselves. Jesus was talking about a kingdom, and they kept saying that he's inciting crowds, and that's going to overthrow things. And according to the scholars, independent minds back there looked like the beginning of an uprising to them. So he was put to death. After his death, his followers began to see sightings. Now, I don't know if you remember, but I'm all into that all the time because I'm about world religion. So about, I think 10 years ago, I think I was still living in New York. No, maybe not. No, I wasn't. That was long ago. I was long gone. But at any rate, there was a rabbi who died. And their people, and I don't know if you guys follow this, but his people were standing around his grave waiting for him to come alive too. So that's why I believe the scholar's story. The scholar's take was that the followers believed that they saw sightings of him, and it was so believed that he had resurrected and came back to life. Now I'm gonna stop right there because I'm not giving you a history exam. So Jesus, according to the Bible, he willingly sacrificed his life for our sins, if you will. So religion was a dangerous game to play way back then, especially when it was merged with politics and political power. So do your research to help you with this resurrection topic that I'm talking about, because it's real important to know that it's really a lot going on with that. But here's the deal. So this way, maybe people could stop saying, well, they conditioned us and they trained us. Yeah, they did. But you know what? It's our job now where we can say, no more happening. I'm not going to go with their training anymore. But that's on us. So, because here's the deal. Mm-hmm. The life and death of Jesus points us back to the truth. You know what that truth was? That we were never separated from God. They would have you believe that back then because they wanted everybody to think you have to come to us to, well, I'm not going there either. I want to talk about resurrection of today. But here's the part we often forget. Resurrection isn't just a story we were taught. It's about transformation. I grew up hearing different meanings for this, the resurrection. However, change comes after letting go of your old self. So I said, well, since we've been saying that forever in, spirituality, yeah, let go of yourself. How do you do that? Use that neuroplasticity of the brain, right? Sit with yourself, be still, be quiet, listen. Some people can't do that and they're in a world of trouble because I tell you, that's the most important way to make it in this world. You have to be able to sit with you. See, I'm grateful I learned how to sit with myself and feel what the resurrection really means to me. See, it has meaning to you. But what does it mean to you? You're not going to sit and think about it? It makes me wonder what I am seeing. And it also makes me wonder, what am I noticing? See, noticing about yourself is real important. See, if we notice, we become aware. I've been noticing things about myself. So some days I see beauty everywhere. And then some days I don't. But that doesn't mean anything. I'm still in the same world. Maybe a different experience, but a different day. But what about you? Do you notice things about yourself? Or do you always tell another person? I love looking and listening to people when they do that to each other. You know what I know about you? You getting really angry when, wait a minute. Talk about what you know about you. Talk to you about that. You don't need to project what you think on another person. You see what I mean? Noticing who you are is what you need to do. So we're going to notice each other in our relationships. We're going to notice us because that's how we grow. I cannot grow your growth. So I started asking, what exactly is changing? Because I want to know. And then I said to myself, I can look at the mirror one day and I could just look at it and I see an old face compared to 40 years ago. Then I could look at that mirror another day and I could see this beautiful woman staring back at me. And something did change, didn't it? It wasn't the mirror, was it? So, had to be something inside of me that changed, huh? What you're looking at, you're looking with. So if you're looking at ugly or old, you're looking with a mind that ain't what you want to be in. So on this Easter, many of us are reflecting on resurrection. So I started wondering again. I said, self, what if we're not just seeing life as it is, but as we've been conditioned to see it? But that's no excuse to stay there, because what I start doing is noticing, and noticing is what? Self-awareness. The minute I start noticing, I'm becoming aware of myself. You see, here's the deal. Until we start that sitting constantly, we're doing that on Monday nights in our class. It is phenomenal, each and every one of us. I've seen Alan, I've seen Groovy, I've seen Timothy, I've seen them all do an about face. When we practice self-awareness, we don't actually experience a new life. We just recreate the same old one. And a lot of people don't like sitting still. So they call it boredom or whatever they do. But I was belligerent. I said, we're going to sit here with the different feelings and the different thoughts, and different moments are going to run through our minds. But we're not going to end this class, because tomorrow's going to be like the grand finale. Oh, don't they don't know. But the same old patterns will no longer exist that when they walked in the door, as they had to sit. Ooh, because what we don't notice, this is the problem, what we don't notice about ourselves, we just repeat over and over and over. And what if that stuff is no good? What if the stuff you keep repeating is no good? No noticing what you're doing. And here's another thing. Research shows us this. The more we think a certain way, the more we react a certain way, and the more we see ourselves as a certain way, I'm this way, I'm that way, the easier it is for those automatic thoughts, no, those automatic habits to develop. You know what the habits are? Not sitting with yourself. Keep telling people, oh, I can't, my mind. Oh, I had a girl. I mean, I'm telling you, I'm so good with this meditation with people. I had a girl tell me that, yeah, I got this mind. My mind keeps going crazy. I said, well, welcome to the club. And I said, now, do you want to grow from that monkey mind, or do you want to just keep having it and never know about you? Well, that just cut that out, right? So no more can we complain about the monkey mind. Welcome to the club. But the question is, do the habits you live with, what are they? Do they make it better for you? Because they could, because you can have a habit of sitting with yourself. But if you don't have a habit of sitting with yourself, do those habits work for you? So this is not about blaming anything or anybody on anything. What Melissa said in that reading, it's about participating in life. That's all I'm talking about. It's about owning our power within our experience. So without self-awareness, we're really not choosing our life. We're choosing somebody else's, because sometimes you want to look at them because it's their problem. Well, you know what your problem is? You did it. Wait a minute. I didn't ask you what my problem was. Check yours. You see why I went there? Because we're letting that old conditioning choose for us. And the old conditioning is because everybody constantly told you, what you're wrong about, you grew up to do the same thing. You're right. Interrupting them when they're talking. Don't give them a chance to finish their sentences because you got to know everything. But that's the time to become self-aware. When we become self-aware, we release that old conditioning. But the moment we become aware also, something shifts. Just like she said, it happened without a fight. A different response becomes possible for you instead of that old one that keeps going over and over, the same old recording we keep doing. Yeah, I'm still in that thing with them. Oh, I'm still with him or her. I'm still doing this life with them. There was a time when I thought everything was happening to me. I was in the habit of acting like a victim. That's right. That was a habit. And when I look back nowadays, I see how my fears, my beliefs, my lack mentality, because I had to grow out of that lack mentality. Every time you see that the gas goes up, you don't go, well, I got to stop buying eggs because I got to have money for gas. No, I have to make more money. That's the way to go. Because every time you keep releasing stuff because the prices go up, you still stay. You don't grow with economy. That's part of lack mentality. And that was what it was for me back 30 years ago. I'm so glad that I listened, I sat down with myself, I sat in groups of meditations. Times I was going, I don't know why I'm sitting here. I remember, but honey, when I started getting those experiences, I was on it. I'm never going to stop this. And see, something in awareness called me personally to sit with myself. I don't know how that was, but I do know when you get sick and tired of something, you're going to be called. And I was definitely called out of that lifestyle. And I learned how to speak my truth. And I no longer stay silent at the expense of my own becoming. You heard Melissa's reading about your becoming. It's the same thing as resurrection. See, resurrection is change. And what's the thing about change? Change is inevitable. And the truth is, me, I'm not a powerless participant in life, but I thought I was at one point. And once I got clear on that new life, wow, that's when things begin to look up for me. Without awareness, guys, we don't create a new life. We stay in the same vicious cycle, in and out, same stuff, little money, no money, totally bankrupt. It's not good. And I'm not just talking about financial bankrupt, because why? We're not sitting with ourselves. We're not trying to be open to ourselves. And so we just rehearse the same old routine over and over. But the moment we begin to sit, I have to keep saying that over and over, because repetition is the mother of skill. And the more people hear that, they understand. The moment we begin sitting with ourselves and taking time for self-awareness, we start to notice ourselves. Now, that's what resurrection looks like today. The resurrection is something that happens within us. It's our becoming. It's something to experience right here, today, in this moment. See, whether we saw or see Jesus as a historical figure, a spiritual teacher, or just a symbol, because everybody has a different thought on this, and you can't tell anybody else how to look at it. So don't try. Like I said, leave them alone with theirs. Because here's the deeper question, whether he's a historical figure or a spiritual teacher or whatever he was, the deeper question is, what? This is the deal for resurrection. What is the story of the resurrection pointing to in us? Remember, I told you last week, the three men kept pointing us in here. So without self-awareness, we may not ever realize that we're living in those old patterns that keep on keeping on. They just keep repeating the same old stuff. And what if the resurrection story is really a way to experience change or your becoming? What if it was just a way for you to experience a change? So today's Easter resurrection isn't just something from the past. It's something happening now. It's always happening now. Everything's always happening now. It's the willingness to let the old version of ourselves fall away so something new can rise. Yes, they said he rose from the dead. So I keep saying the word rise too, because it's something about that. Everybody that was conditioned to say the third day he rose from the dead. And if I keep saying it, that's key for you. But I'm not trying to tell you how to think. Science tells us that the brain can rewire itself. Old pathways. Imagine the brain having a map, and it does. Maybe you don't believe it, but it does. And so the old pathways die off, and then the new ones are formed, and then you coming back and in and up, right? This is what happens with the brain. So every single organ in your body is a mind, because they have certain things to do. They're in charge of that. They're the mind for that. The heart's in charge of this, right? The intestines, everything. They got their thing, right? So for that reason, neuroplasticity in today's Easter resurrection is the changing and rewiring of the brain. Old paths die off, new paths come on. But you see, it's another thing that we said in the reading. You don't consciously choose every moment, but we are always participating in what unfolds. This is not blame again. This is about your power. Because the moment we realize all of this and notice all things about us, life responds to us. And we also realize that we can respond differently and life begins to change. Maybe resurrecting from the dead is not about going somewhere else. Maybe it's about seeing things differently, thinking differently, responding differently. Today's Easter resurrection is when we come back to life from the patterns that kept us buried. You get where I'm going? They said Jesus was in the grave 3 days, he rose from the dead, and now, boom, here we go. That's what today's Easter resurrection is, right? Where in your life have you been repeating old patterns, and what do you do about it when you notice it? See, I'm using words like notice, huh? Right. Sitting with yourself. So, for today's Easter resurrection, let's not just celebrate a resurrection that happened in the first century. What I do is celebrate the resurrections that are happening in me, the ones that's happening in you and in all of us. Now, you may not believe that you have resurrections, but I do. And because life is not fixed, this is why it's very important for you to take notice of all the changes. Life is not fixed. Take notice of all the changes that transpire in your life. Life is responding, and we are being invited again and again into something new or different, whatever you want to call it. See, I'm aware of what I'm transmitting nowadays. I now choose consciously. I respond with intention. That resurrection story may not be the only thing or the only way for us to understand what's happening with us today, but that's the one I'm using an example of now. I use as many examples as I can with people to change, to think of what way connects with them. There's no one way, but I'm telling you something. Every time I do something new, somebody gets it. What if that story was never meant to be taken literally? But what if it was just a mirror? And it's of what's happening today. What about that? It's a mirror about what's happening within us. See, I'm not here to, like I said, to tell you what to believe. I'm here to invite you to notice your own experience. Notice. I like that word. See, this is what I know. I have seen how my own thoughts, my expectations in life, and my patterns continue to shape what I experience in my life. And I must say that this year, these last couple of years, I've been shaping everything better and better for my highest and highest. I have not gone back down that road again because I choose not to. But I know one thing, I will never stop sitting with myself and just saying, it's time for me now. What did you notice about yourself today? It's all because of who I have become. It's not a coincidence, has nothing to do with a coincidence. I am a being or a person who sits with myself consistently. You can do it once in a while and experience results once in a while. You can do it consistently, but you heard the reading. That's what participation is all about. See, and here's another thing. For some people, the resurrection is a historical event. And then there's people who feel that it's a living process rising out of old patterns, old identities, and the old ways of being. I just can't pretend to believe those stories just because I was taught to believe them. I can't, because it never made sense to me. I'm not going to tell you what I used to say, but it was just ridiculous for me to say, really? Came back to life, huh? But this is what I can do. I can honor what it points to now. Because now I like, oh, I get it. I can honor what these stories point to now. It points to the fact that we die of our old self and rise of a new self over and over again. Even if it's not one you like, you're still changing, and you could be changing downhill, but you're changing. Change is inevitable. So I've come to see that we are given opportunities again and again to rise. It's not just a moment, it's a shift, a deeper level of change. And when that shift happens, life responds. Now, I see clearly how life is responding to me. What about you? I see patterns, conditions, and awareness shaping everything I see. And now I want you to realize something about yourself. 2 seconds. And then I'll tell you what I realize about myself. I always lately find myself standing on the edge of a new awareness. Always on the edge of my next becoming and my next resurrection. This lady, and I didn't even know because I don't listen to the news, about a month ago. She said, "Oh, did you know that the gas prices are about to go up?" And I said, "Well, no, I didn't." You know, the first thing I said, instead of me going, "Oh, well, with that, I'm standing on the edge of my next becoming." You see what I mean? Now all of a sudden, here comes somebody. "Okay, Rosedale, what do I need? Because I need you." Somebody called me. "All right, 6 sessions, baby, 1 hour sessions," and I'm telling you, they're good. 6 sessions, 350. Okay, here we go. It is just like that, because every day I get a blank canvas, and so do you. And so, you know what that blank canvas is? For us to create a new us every day. It's a clean slate. You messed up yesterday. Okay. What about you? Is there something that's changing in you a lot that you notice? Is it waiting for you to start creating a new you? Are you ready to sit with yourself and create a new you on your blank canvas? Because everybody gets the same 24 hours. It's just what you do with it. Change is inevitable, and it's waiting for you. It's meeting you, it's responding to you, and maybe, just maybe, what you've been waiting for has been waiting for you. Life has been meeting us right where we are and responding to all the things we need in our lives. And the change you have been hoping for is the one that begins with you. Not someone else changing for you so you can feel better with your life. No, no, no. You don't worry about them changing. How about a rebirth within you instead? But I need you to understand, when you give what you're doing, you're actually making an investment in your consciousness and in consciousness. You aren't just making a donation. You aren't investing in a consciousness. You are investing in a consciousness that has the power to change the world. Now, I don't know about everybody, but I know me. I invested in this a long time ago. But investing in today's Easter resurrection for some people helps other people as well as you to awaken to the you of who you really are and the truth. So I'm not speaking like, I don't even live from a book anymore. I don't speak from a book. I'm speaking and living through experience. And I'm living today's Easter resurrection, where I'm looking for tomorrow, and I'm going to look at that clean slate. And your investment in today's Easter resurrection is to continue to hold this space for the people that come through, that realize or just people who see it on Facebook or wherever they do. When you soften your guard and you let your resources circulate, you begin to feel the flow and you begin moving in your life. And as you align your giving with this flow, you position yourself for change, for resurrections and healing, and all this thing goes along with it for you. So as you give today, ask yourself, check this out. Am I ready to support a community of people who don't just learn about today's Easter resurrection, but they are transformed by it? We don't just learn about this stuff and talk about, well, I don't. So thank you for strengthening us in your giving. So as we wrap up our time together, and we did live, I want you to live in today's Easter resolution now, okay? And use today's Easter resolution to talk, accept, and be able to sit with yourself. Because see, the more consistently you sit with yourself, the easier it is for you to change with today's Easter resurrection. So remember, the universe is always supporting you on your journey, always. So until we meet again, change with today's Easter resurrection, and let's move on. And I'll see you at the top and see you next week. And so it is.